Welcome to my video on writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So I'm on the second page of the note sheet packet that we started yesterday. And yesterday we were graphing equations written in slope-intercept form. Now we're going to go the other way. Now we're going to look at the already graphed line and then try to write the equation. So here are the steps on how to write a linear function from a graph. The first step is to write the formula, and we know that the formula for slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And remember, m is the slope, and b represents the y-intercept. So that's where it crosses the y-axis. So after we write the formula, let's do that down here. Okay, after we write the formula, and remember the slope and the y-intercept, we locate the y-intercept. This will be written for the variable b. So if we look at the graph, I see that it crosses the y-axis right here. And since this is the origin, even if you can't read the numbers, this is -1, -2, and this would be -3. So the y-intercept, or b, would be -3. So it says start at the y-intercept and count to the next point. This is the slope. Okay, so we're going to start here, and we're going to find a point that meets at the corner of a box. So I don't see, no, that's not a corner, no, not a corner. Looks like a corner here. Okay, so we're going to rise +1, so we're going to put a 1 here. We're going to run 3, so we're going to put a 3 here. So remember, slope is rise over run, so we're going to do +1 over +3. So my slope is 1/3. And then our last step is to fill in the formula. So we take what we have here. We have the slope, which is 1/3, and then we put the x. And then instead of plus -3, since the y-intercept is negative, we're going to write -3. So the equation is y equals 1/3 x minus 3. Now, I want you to double check to make sure our pattern is correct. So we go up 1 over 3. It looks like it's going to be touching right there. And now let's go the other way. When we have a positive slope, we have to make them both negative to go the other way. So we're going to go down -1 over 1, 2, 3. And it looks like we have the correct slope. Because sometimes it looks like it's crossing at a point, and it won't be if you follow that slope all the way through. It won't, the black line won't cross at that slope. So be careful and always double check your slope. Check some other points. All right, so write the equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to follow our steps that we just talked about. So we're going to write the formula right here. And we're going to write our final answer on the blank. Okay, and we need to make sure we find the slope. We need to make sure we find the y-intercept. And I'm writing the slope up here first because that's where it's going to go in the formula. The slope's going to come first before the x and then the y-intercept. But when we follow our steps, we actually locate the y-intercept first. So we're going to circle the y-intercept. And even if you can't read the numbers, we start at the origin 1, 2, 3, 4, and that crosses at 5. So the y-intercept is 5. So we're going to write b equals 5. And now I'm going to start at the y-intercept, and I can't go this way. So I have no choice but to go down. So we're going to go, and I don't see, no, not crossing there, not crossing there, not crossing there. Looks like it crosses here. So we're going to go down -5. So my rise is going to be -5. And we're going to run +2. And remember, we have -5 over 2, but remember when the slope is negative, we just stick the negative in front. Okay? And the slope is -5 over 2. And remember, okay, typically you see the negative in front, but you can write -5 over 2, or you could actually go rise +5 and over -2, so 5 over -2. But typically you will see the negative in front of the fraction, so that's why I'm writing it this way. Okay, and let's double check our slope while we're at it. Down 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, 2. Yes, and it looks like I have the correct slope. So now we're going to write the equation. And my slope is -5/2. So try to make the negative, I didn't do that perfectly, but try to make the negative kind of in the middle of the fraction as best as you can. And then we're going to write +5 because it crosses the y-axis at +5. Okay. Let's look at number 2, and this one's going to be a little more challenging to see here. So first step, write the formula. And locate the y-intercept, so it's going to be right here. And we're really going to have to count for this one because it's really difficult to see. So here's the origin, and we're going to go 1, 2. So this is down 2, so that's -2. So the y-intercept is -2. And I'm going to write the slope up here. So I'm going to start at the y-intercept. And it looks like they're all crossing at the corner of a box. So that is going to indicate that it has a slope of 1. So up 1 over 1 because the line is sloping up. So this is +1 over 1. And what's 1 divided by 1? 1. So the slope is 1. Now remember, when the slope is 1, we don't need to write 1x. We can just write x. Is it wrong if you write 1x? No. But you remember the 1 is in disguise, so you won't see the 1 in front of the x. Okay, so if this was multiple choice, you wouldn't see the 1x. You would just see x. And the y-intercept here is -2, so instead of writing +2, we're going to write -2. So the equation is y equals x -2. Okay, let's turn to the back, to the last page. Okay, once again, write the formula y equals mx plus b. Okay, and we're going to write our m and we're going to write our b. But remember, we're going to find the b first, and we notice that it crosses at 0 or the origin. So that's going to indicate that we have a proportional relationship because it goes to the origin here. And now we need to find the slope. So I have this point here at the origin, no corner, no corner, looks like a corner. So we're going to start at our y-intercept, or the origin in this case, and we're going to go up 1, 2, 3 over 1. And I know all the numbers aren't in here, but look, I went right between 2 and 4, so I know that that's 3. So my rise is 3, my run is 1, and 3 divided by 1 is 3. Now let's make sure we got the right slope. 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay, and let's go the other way. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. And it looks like we have a corner. 1, 2, 3 over 1. It looks like we have another corner. So my slope of 3 is correct. So y equals 3x. And this time, I'm not going to write plus 0. Remember, when we had a proportional relationship, there was no ending. So the equation is y equals 3x. So this equation is actually y equals mx. And remember, when you write your equation, the way your line slopes should match your slope. So this one slopes up, so I should have a positive slope, and I do. Okay, so look at the next one here. And this time we have a horizontal line. Okay, so let's write the equation. And it crosses at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the y-intercept is 5. Now my slope here is, look, I don't have a rise, so my rise is 0. So if we start here and we just go over 1, so 0 divided by 1 is 0. So when we have a 0 slope, that means I'm going to have no number in front of the x. So we're going to have y equals, because 0 times x is 0, so we're just going to have y equals whatever the y-intercept is, 5. Because the 5s are repeating all the way through. All these y values are 5. Okay, so remember, when you have a 0 slope, it's going to be y equals whatever the y-intercept is. Okay, now let's go over some multiple choice tips here. So if you're doing a multiple choice problem, obviously we have to look at the line. If it is going up, then that means the slope is going to be positive. Okay, so when you read it like a book, if it slopes up, then it's positive. If it's going down, when you read it like a book, that's going to indicate a negative slope. Okay. So if you look at our line, read it like a book, it slopes down, and all the choices are negative slopes. So we can't eliminate anyone. So we have to go to our multiple choice test, tip 2. Eliminate choices that don't have the y-intercept value. Okay, so my y-intercept is right here, and that is 5. So I'm going to cross out all the equations that don't end with 5. So that's this one, because that has a y-intercept of 2. And it's this one. This one also has a y-intercept of 2. So now I got to decide, is the slope negative 2/5 or is it negative 5/2? Okay, so we already know that the y-intercept is 5, and now I got to find the slope. So we're going to start here, and it looks like the next one, it looks like that might cross at the box, but there's a little space there. So we're going to go here. So we're going to go down 5 over positive 2. So that would indicate you're going to put the negative in front because we have a negative slope, so negative 5/2. And that would indicate that the best choice is D. So that concludes our notes on writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. I hope you have a great day.